Hi guys, welcome to your week 4 U.S. history launch, and we are going to continue learning more about the American History Mythbusters project. Just to call attention again to the pace chart, it is found in the Google Classroom, and we are on week 4, so that means that this week runs from the 12th through September 18th. You should have, if you were following the pace chart, you should have mastered the Revolutionary America focus area by this time. It's okay if you didn't, but you definitely want to at least make sure you're making attempts to try that soon, because the information that you learn in that one is going to help you then do better in the project by learning some background and context information. The American History Mythbusters project is the first one. The main project, what you're going to be answering is about what myths existed around the founding of the United States. So you're going to be picking one of these myths to investigate. So if you did not get to checkpoint 3 yet, checkpoint 3 is where you pick one of these that you're going to research. So the 5 myths are: 1, did Pocahontas save John Smith? 2, did Thomas Jefferson, who wrote the Declaration of Independence, did he believe in equality and natural rights for all? Who fired the shots heard around the world? Did Paul Revere alert the colonists about the approaching British forces? And did Betsy Ross create the American flag? So those are 5 myths that we've been told our whole lives about history. And it's up to you to kind of dig into the primary source documents and different videos and stories and poems and things like that to come up with your answer to, do you really think that happened, or was that a myth? Before we do that, I wanted to start discussing how are these projects going to be graded. So if you're new to the summit, you might not yet be aware how everything's graded. It is different than some other things. So what you should be looking for is the little star icon here. This icon indicates that something is a final product, and the final products are the only things that receive grades. So checkpoints help you build and get feedback. So you're doing your project in smaller chunks, and you get feedback along the way, and this helps you get a better grade on your final product. So anything that you see a star like that should be submitted by the end of the project, because that is what you're actually being graded on. When you go into the project, it will show you, this is the Mythbusters multimedia piece is the final product for this first project. That's going to basically be a PowerPoint or slideshow or whatever about what myth you chose. But what you're graded on is actually called cognitive skills. So you're being graded on these things listed here: point of view, purpose, contextualizing sources, argumentative claim, selection of evidence, and multimedia in an oral presentation. So if you have no idea what those mean, we need to make sure that you do by the end of the year, because you're being assessed on your ability to do these things. So what I recommend doing, click into the rubric. So where it says view rubric, if you click on that, it's going to take you here, and you can print this if you'd like, but at least refer back to this. So you guys are in 8th grade. And as you can see, it says grade 8 should be scored between levels 3 and 5. So to be considered at grade level, you should be able to do these skills at a level 3 to 5. So 3 is equivalent to a C-, and excuse me, and 5, I believe, is the equivalent of an A. So if these are the skills you're being assessed on, argumentative claim, selection of evidence, you want to make sure that if you need at least a 3 to be, that's again a C-, but that says that you're at grade level, you need to be aiming to do all these things. I recommend shooting for a 4 or even a 5. Why not try for an A? So if you need a 5 to get an A, and you're trying to write or make your presentation for argumentative claim, you want to look at, do my claims and subclaims did I clearly introduce them? Are they organized in a way that makes relationships among claims and subclaims clear and supports the understanding? Did I give attention to the significance of the claim? So why is that claim important? If you think you did all those things, then you should probably receive a grade pretty close to a 5, maybe a 4 or 4.5. I mean, that's going to be up to me to decide, but I'm going to let you know why you did not. So which elements of this did you not do? And that's why your grade might have lowered. So really, this rubric here tells you exactly what you need to do to get a 5 in every cog skill. So again, just a reminder, the cognitive skills are what the project is graded on. So those are the 5 for this first project. I do want to go into a little bit more detail about point of view and purpose. So that's the first one. I'm noticing some people having a little bit of difficulty. Whenever you think of point of view, purpose, point of view is different in history than it is in English. So I think some of you are used to saying, oh, this is written firsthand, secondhand, third person, whatever. That's not necessarily what history is asking when they talk about point of view. What they are doing in history is your point of view is your perspective towards a particular person or an issue that has been shaped over time, and it can be as a result of multiple things. So I'm just thinking of a current event. So think of the Colin Kaepernick issue, taking a knee during the national anthem, and now Nike supports him. It's causing a huge uproar on social media. So everybody has a point of view about that issue. But their point of view is stemmed from their lifetime of their experience or their motives, their race, their ethnic origins, their nationality, their class status, so socioeconomic, are they wealthy, are they poor, and also their gender. So these are things that you have to keep in mind whenever you're trying to determine somebody's point of view on an issue. And why is this important? It's important to understand an author's point of view or purpose, because that's how you understand if it reveals a bias. Bias meaning that they're slanted one way or the other for or against something. But this is why point of view is important in history. So we're not necessarily talking about, it was a firsthand account written by Christopher Columbus. So for example, think of that poem. There was a poem in Checkpoint 1 that you guys read that looked back and described the Columbus finding America. So everyone's heard it. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. But if you really look into it, the point of view would be that this is somebody who really thinks that Columbus was a great person, and I know this because she uses words like, she calls him bright and brave and things like that. So this is not somebody who thinks that Christopher Columbus is a murderer or something like that. That she thinks that he is a hero that we should all celebrate. So that's her point of view. Whenever you're trying to identify your point of view or purpose, you should ask yourself, who produced the document? So who is this person? Who was the intended audience? So what that means is, was this written privately, like in a journal or a diary that they thought no one would read? Is this written to be read or heard by others? So was this somebody wrote an editorial because they want somebody to hear their opinion? If so, who did they think was the intended audience? And then also, was this an official document? So those are some questions to ask yourself too, because people do tend to act a little differently if they think that something's in private as opposed to something that is going to be read by lots of people. And then also, why do you think the document was created? So that's your purpose. So I hope you guys have a better understanding of point of view and purpose. But again, we're not talking about the first-hand, second-hand, third person point of view. That's more for like narration in a story. When we're talking about history, we're talking about why somebody believes the things they do. What is their point of view on an issue? Just want to discuss mastering the focus areas again. So take a look at this image here. Excuse me. This is someone's progress page that I noticed the other day. So there's like 15 diagnostic assessments that were taken on one day, and 6-7 times on some of these are the same one. I want to be reminding you guys to take the diagnostic one time. At the most, maybe 2. Some people do like to try to get a higher score on it, but it doesn't count for anything other than your knowledge. What you should really be doing is analyzing the data that you get from the diagnostic to create your study plan. So it's going to come back and say you got 5 out of 7 correct, and it's going to break it down by objective. So maybe you got 0 out of 3 correct on objective 1, so you're going to devote more time to checkpoint 1 than you are to the rest of them. So this is the data on that is important because it's up to you to create your study plan and determine what you need to spend more time learning. Then you need to study the playlist of resources under each objective. So if you need to, where it says objective 1, 2, 3, click into that box, and that opens up a whole set of resources for you to review. You don't have to review all of them, but do what works best for you. If you like to watch something, then watch a video. If you like to read and learn better that way, then by all means read one of the articles or the documents. When you feel prepared, request the content assessment. So that's at the bottom of the screen. So it's different from the diagnostic. This is the one that will actually turn that focus area green. So if you get an 8 out of 10, that suggests that you show mastery. You master that focus area, it'll turn it green, then you can move on with everything else. Your instructors will unlock content assessments between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. So it's really important that you plan that. You know this information now. We're not making you work during those hours, but if you want to work at 2 and 3 in the morning, which some of you do, that's wonderful, but you need to make sure that you request those content assessments before 4 o'clock or they're not going to be open. So it's up to you. You have to operate on the world schedule a little bit too, okay? So make sure you're getting in there on Monday through Friday during the workday. And if you want to work on things over the weekend, you have to make sure you plan ahead, ask before Friday at like 3:30 or 4. So if you're to a point you're kind of not able to grasp what you're even supposed to be doing at this point, I still think it's normal to be confused. I think these launches will help. So make sure you're following along with all of your courses launches. So to do for next Tuesday, the 18th, you should be trying to master the Revolutionary America Content Assessment. You should prepare for or attempt the Early American Geography Content Assessment. This one is strictly optional. This is an additional focus area, meaning that it is solely for extra credit. So you do not have to do this one. So if you are somebody who's a little bit behind right now, this shouldn't even be on your radar. Do the ones that are the power focus areas, and then also be trying to get back in the game and submit checkpoint 1, 2, and 3 of the project for feedback. So I'm pumping the brakes a little bit on the project for this week. I'm not going to ask that checkpoint 4 be submitted yet. If you'd like to move on, you can, but go back and try to submit a good quality checkpoint 1, 2, and 3. Not only do you submit them, but you also need to make sure you're reviewing the feedback that I give you, making those suggested changes, and then resubmit so that you're turning in your highest quality final product when it comes to the end. If you guys need any help, please send me a message. I'm available all day through Hangouts or email. I could Zoom with you, explain something, share my screen. So you have a lot of people here at CPDLF that want to see you succeed. You just have to know how to ask for help and just do it before it's too late.